Hello everyone, this video is an additional video for my crochet pattern Package summer top. Feel free to visit my blog happyheartsy.com for a free full written pattern. This summer top is made in Floret stitch, so you repeat only 2 rounds. If you like this video and you'd like to stay in touch with me, feel free to subscribe to my channel Happy Heartsy or follow me on my Instagram or Facebook. Now let's crochet. Alright guys, and for this summer top I picked this Trabu yarn from the Lion brand, and it's actually 100% rayon from bamboo. Also for this yarn it's number 3 light, and it's recommended 4mm hook, which I have right here. So this is all what you need. Also you can use any like stitch markers and scissors and yarn needle, but I'll try to make it I try to avoid the weave-ins and like a sewing together like as much as possible. So now let's get started. Alright guys, so let's get started. And because this pattern is made in Floret stitch, which means that you repeat 2 rows, I will explain later, but the thing is that first row is in double crochet. So now you have 2 options how to start. So you can either start with the foundation chain and the first row of double crochet separately, or you can do it all at once with foundation double crochet, which I would actually highly recommend to learn that. So feel free to visit my link in the description where you can find a separate video for this technique, and yeah, it has more benefits. I explain over there more, so I would do that. But for this tutorial I'm gonna make it like the foundation chain and and the double crochet row separately. So now we start with any even number of the foundation chains. And for this tutorial I made only 16 foundation chains, because I will grab my actual pattern later, but just for this to show you those 2 rows that you will be repeating for the entire row, I'll show you just in this short version. So now you have any even number or whatever the pattern says, so just follow the numbers for your size. And now let's make our first double crochet. And our first double crochet is gonna be in the 3rd chain from the hook. So we don't count this loop on our hook as a chain, but we count it whatever is below. So this is 1, 2, 3. So into that we make double crochet. And how we do it is that we do yarn over, insert the hook into the 3rd chain from the hook, yarn over, pull up the loop. We have 3 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull up the loop through the first 2 loops on our hook. We have 2 left, yarn over and pull up the loop through the first or the last 2 loops. So this is your double crochet. So now again, so we do yarn over, insert the hook into the next chain now, yarn over, pull up the loop. We have 3 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull up the loop through the first 2 loops, yarn over, pull up the loop through the last 2 loops. So this is what you repeat in each chain until the end of the row, and you should get odd number of the double crochet, because this pattern requires odd number of the stitches. So let's finish the row and I'll be right in a moment. Alright, so this is my first row, and also I forgot to mention that those 2 chains skipped, because our first double crochet was in the 3rd chain from the hook. So those 2 chains skipped counts as a first double crochet. So that means that now we're gonna start our 2nd row, so we cannot forget to make our last stitch into that 2 chain in the top 2nd chain, because that counts as a stitch too. So this is just what I forgot to mention, so I mention it now. So now I have 15 double crochets, 15 stitches, so you have whatever your pattern says. So now what we're gonna do, I'm at the end of the row, I just finished my last double crochet. I make chain 1, turn the project, and this chain 1 counts as a stitch for the next row. It's not a turning chain, which is a little bit quite different than usually is from the other patterns. Usually you have the chain one as a turning chain, but in this case, this one chain is a stitch. So that means that now this is the chain one, and now into the next stitch we're gonna make double crochet, which is this one, the second stitch from the beginning. So now into the next stitch, because the chain one counts as a stitch, we make double crochet. So we made a yarn over, insert the hook, yarn over, pull up the loop through the first two loops, yarn over, pull up the loop through the last two loops. And now into the next stitch right here, we're gonna make a slip stitch only. So into the next stitch, now we just insert the hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up the loop, and with that loop, we pull through the loop on our hook. This is the slip stitch. Now into the next stitch, we're gonna make double crochet. So now we insert the hook, but before we have to do yarn over, insert the hook, yarn over, pull up the loop, do yarn over, pull up the loop through the first two loops, yarn over, pull up the loop through the last two loops, and now into the next stitch we're gonna make slip stitch. So we just insert the hook, yarn over, pull up the loop, and with the same loop we pull through the loop what we had on our hook. So this is what you're alternating for the rest of the row, which means double crochet and slip stitch, which means that you always start with the slip stitch and you always end with the slip stitch. So, but between you alternate slip stitch, double crochet, slip stitch, double crochet until the end of the row. So I'm almost there. So now you can just see it, how I repeating the stitches. Now slip stitch, and now I have two stitches left, and again this one is the two chain skipped, what we skipped before, so that counts as a stitch, so don't forget about it. So now I make double crochet, and my last stitch is the slip stitch. So you always start and end with the slip stitch. So I'm at the end of the row, so now you can see that it's a little bit wavy, like the top part, which is exactly how we want it. And now at the end of this row, from the row alternating double crochet and slip stitch, we make chain 2, turn the project, and again those two chains count as a first double crochet for the third row or for the next row. And now we're gonna make double crochet in each stitch until the end of the row. So now now you can see when I actually turn like this, so we can see it from the top, we can see that those small ones, this is the slip stitches, so it's gonna be a little bit harder to insert the hook over there. But yeah, if we will try to like make the slip stitch kind of like a loose, then it shouldn't be that bad. But yeah, it's gonna be maybe a little bit tricky sometimes. So now into this next stitch, which is this long one, we make double crochet, and again into the next one, which is this short one, we make another double crochet. So basically every odd number of the row, we make double crochet, only double crochet stitches, and every even number of the row, we alternating slip stitch, double crochet. So that's actually about the whole pattern. Of course, there are gonna be some decreasing. So this is just the basic one, but for the first few rows, you will just be repeating like that. I would highly recommend to count the stitches if you have right number, because to be honest, sometimes I actually forgot the last stitches to make, and then I didn't have the right number of my pattern. So now I'm about to make my last double crochet. So now you can see that the last one is pretty invisible, and because it's the first slip stitch that we made from the previous row. So now it's kind of leading point because now you always have to start like a finish your when you make your double crochet row, you always have to end your last double crochet into that slip stitch. So if you don't have slip stitch at the end of the row, of the double crochet row, then that's you maybe forget it, or yeah, that something's not right. So now I just make it, and now I just will recount my the third row actually, if I have right number. Yes, I have 15, so it's perfect. So now this is my third row, it's my odd number of the row, that means that it's in double crochet. So now let's start with our double crochet and slip stitch row. So now at the end, at the end of the double crochet row, we make chain 1, turn the project, and the chain 1 means again our first stitch. So now, because we alternating slip stitch, double crochet, slip stitch, double crochet, so now we're gonna make double crochet into the second stitch. Into the next stitch we make slip stitch, then double crochet, slip stitch, and this is what you repeat until the end of the row. And again, this is the even number of the row, so every even number of the row is the alternating slip stitch, double crochet. Every odd number is the double crochet row. Also, your right side is when you're about to start the double crochet row. So whenever you see, or whenever you're done with your row with the alternating double crochet and slip stitch, I'll show you in a moment. Now again, I have my 2 stitches left, so now it's double crochet, and now even it's not much visible, but this is the 2 chains that we make at the end of the row. Just skipped 2 chains, and that also counts as a stitch. So now I'm at the end, and now I make chain 2, turn the project, and now I'm about to start my double crochet row. So when you're facing that, that means that it's this side is the right side, and this one is the back one. You can also recognize it, because on the right side you can see the texture of the stitches, and the back side is kind of flat. So that's also like a leading point. So now this is what you repeat pretty much your third and the fourth row for the entire pattern, but it's just for a few rows where we don't need any decreasing, and once the decreasing will come, I'll be here and show you what next. Alright guys, so this is my rows that I made, so now you can see the texture more clearly. I absolutely love it. So this is my few rows, and this is the right side of the project. So now if I'm gonna flip it, so this is my wrong side. So because this one is gonna be the twisted part, so this is on my back, but I'm gonna twist it. So this bottom part, there's a technique, but this part will go a little bit later. So we're gonna be sewing like these parts like that. Again, I'll show you later, and then it's gonna be twisted. But now what I wanna do, so this is our right side, so this is gonna be twisted like that, and from here we will be decreasing just this side for a little bit until we reach the armholes. So, and then also the front panel. So now we will be decreasing, and we will be decreasing now every double crochet row only. So wherever we're gonna be there, we will just decrease that side, and we will be decreasing from this side. So now if I'll show you right now, so now I'm in the double crochet before my double crochet row only. So now I will start decreasing this side and then I will also decrease the other side, the end of the rows. So then we can just actually make it, and that means that we're gonna have the open back, and but also the tank top sleeves. So I hope that makes sense now, but from the pictures you see how the sweater looks. So this is what we are trying to achieve right now. So now I already made my 2 chains, which you always have to do at the end of the row when you're alternating double crochet and slip stitch. So I'll just move it a little bit closer now. So now we have 2 chains, so that means our first double crochet. I might actually do it again because I think that I make yeah, it's just so tight. I want to have it a little bit more loose like that. So now I just turn, and now we start with the double crochet, and now we're gonna start our second and third stitch. Will be decreasing, so we will decrease about 1 stitch on one side and 1 stitch on the other one. So that means about 2 stitches of 1 row, the double crochet row only. So now we're gonna make the decreasing. So now what we're gonna do, we do yarn over, insert the hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up the loop. We do yarn over, pull up the loop through the first 2. We have 2 loops, but now we're gonna do yarn over again, insert the hook into the next stitch, which is the slip stitch from the previous row, pull up the loop, and now we will do yarn over, pull up the loop through the first 2 loops, and now it's gonna be a little bit different. We're gonna make yarn over, pull up the 3. So this is our decreasing, and now we just continue to make our double crochets in each stitch until we have 3 last stitches at the end of the row, because we will be doing our decreasing again. So now you can see that we have these 2 chains, which counts as a first stitch, and here this is the decreasing. So now you can see it's kind of like a V, so 2 stitches leading to the 1 stitch only. It's right here. So this is how decreasing works, and then I'll see you at the end of the row how to do the decreasing at the end. All right, so now I'm almost at the end, and I'm just about to have like 2 double crochet just right here, and now I have my last 3 stitches for the row, which is the slip stitch, double crochet, slip stitch from the previous rows, and in those 2 last, like the third and the second stitch, we're gonna make the decreasing exactly the same way as we did at the beginning, and then in the last stitch we just gonna make a regular double crochet. So now we just do yarn over, insert the hook into the slip stitch from the previous row, yarn over, pull up the loop, yarn over, pull up the loop through the first 2 loops, yarn over, insert the hook into the last double crochet from the previous row, and now we have 4 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull up the loop through the first 2 loops. We have 3 now, yarn over, pull up the loop through all 3. So this is the decreasing of the 2 stitches and just 1. So now you can see again like how there are like 2 stitches and becomes just 1. And now we're gonna make our last double crochet into the last stitch of this row, which is our slip stitch from the previous row. So this is how we end. And now we're gonna just continue the regular pattern as we know this row, which is alternating slip stitch and double crochet. So now let's just do it. So we're just gonna do just chain 1. So after all double crochet row, we always make just the chain 1. Turn the project. So now that chain 1 counts as a first stitch of the next row, and we're gonna make our double crochet into the second one. So this is what we're alternating, and this is what you're gonna do for again whatever the pattern says for your size. So we will be always decreasing just the double crochet rows from now on. And I would also suggest actually use the stitch markers right now, and at the end of the double crochet row I would just clip it in at the end. So this way we will know that that's our first row of the decreasing, and where it is. Oh, it's right here. And once we're gonna sew this part, because this will be twisted, so I know that this is where I should start, like, from, if that makes sense. So yeah, I would just suggest to just clip it in so we can mark it like that. And now we will be just decreasing. So follow the patterns, and once we're gonna start to making the space for the armhole, I'll be right back. All right, guys, so now you can see I just put my shirt or the tank top on from the back panel. So now we can see the back panel. So now you can see how I was decreasing the sides. So now it actually creates that, like, the V shape, the open back. So this is for the back. And now you're gonna need 2 stitch markers. So I already put it in the same spot that I needed, and the pattern says for your size how many stitches you have to count from the sides. And it's just because until now we made it all one piece, and now we will divide the crocheting for like 4 pieces, or at first 3, because now we're gonna start to make only this, and this is actually my right side. So now we're gonna start to make our left back panel for the sleeve. And now we will be decreasing, because now this side we will be just going straight, so we won't decrease the double crochet from here. So now it will just go straight for a little bit, and we will be decreasing only the side where the stitch marker is. So we will be decreasing exactly the same way. So now I'm just heading for the double crochet row. So now my last 2 stitches gonna be double crochet, 2 double crochet together, and then I'm gonna start my another row, which is the alternating slip stitch and double crochet. So now this is what we're gonna do until, like, the pattern says for how long. And then you can see that from this stitch marker until this one, that actually measure our front panel. And then from that we will do a few rows, like at the second part of this, we will just make a few rows all the way from one stitch marker to the other. And then again we will divide for again 2 same, actually symmetrical pieces for our front panel. So I hope that it makes sense. So now this is so far our one piece, and now we will be starting just this part. So then from this stitch marker I will for our armhole I will just go decreasing this side, and then I will just keep it straight. So now let's start. So now let's get started. So because I was at the end of the slip stitch and double crochet row, I made 2 chains, which counts as a first double crochet for the next row. And now I just continue with the double crochet until the end. I mean, not until the end, but until I'll get to the last 3 stitches of this piece. So until my stitch marker. So now I'll just go with the double crochet. All right, so now I have about like my last 3 stitches. And what is a little bit different, because now we are doing the decreasing at the end of this like row or until the stitch marker. So now we can make the decreasing on our last 2 stitches. So what we're gonna do, we will just insert the hook into the third one. It's okay, and we're gonna make a regular double crochet. And now in our last 2 we will do the decreasing. So we're gonna do it exactly the same way as before. So we just insert the hook into the second last stitch and just pull through the first 2 loops. We have 2 loops, yarn over and insert the hook again into the next or our last stitch, exactly where the stitch marker is. Yarn over, pull up the loop through 2 and yarn over, pull up the loop through 3. So this is that we made a decreasing right here. So now we have about 1 stitch less of this row. So now you can recount it and just make sure that you have the same number or what you should have. And now we make just chain 1 that actually counts as a first stitch. It's kind of instead of our slip stitch. And now we just make our regular row alternating the slip stitch and the double crochet. So now into the next stitch, which is right here, we're gonna make our double crochet, then slip stitch, double crochet, slip stitch, and this is what we alternate until the end of the row, and we don't do any decreasing here. All right, so now I'm at the end, and then I will just make chain 2. I finished with my slip stitch because it's odd number, we got odd number row. So that's why we started with the slip stitch and end with the slip stitch. Now we're gonna be decreasing again, but just here at the end of the row. And now because now we will be decreasing this row about just 1 stitch again only. It will be just the even number of the next row, so then it's gonna be slightly different. But as far as you always start with the slip stitch at the beginning and then alternating the double crochet, slip stitch, double crochet, whatever you will end at the end, it doesn't matter as far as you just keep like the pattern. So now I made 2 chains. I just flip it and I will just make my double crochet. So now again I'm at the end of this row and I have my last 3 stitches left. So again into the third one it's okay, I can just make my regular double crochet, and in the last 2 stitches I will make my decrease of double crochet. So I'll just do it once, then yarn over, and then the second time just have to find, because there was the slip stitch only, or the chain 1, so it should be right here. And I'll finish my decreasing, then chain 1 that actually counts as a first stitch for the next row, flip it, and now I have the even number of the stitch of this row. So even number of the stitches. So now that means that I started with the slip stitch here, but I know that I will finish this row with double crochet. So this is for the first time slightly different because we always start and end with the slip stitch. Now, because it's an even number row, we will start with the slip stitch and end with the double crochet. But it's totally all right, because in the next row, once we're gonna make the decreasing again at the end of the row, or like on this side, it's gonna be again the odd number. So now it's gonna be the rows will be switching between even number stitches and odd number stitches, but it's completely all right. So now we will be decreasing until we're gonna have like some just amount of the stitches, and then we will be just going straight for a little time again. But I'll be in touch with you and I'll show you what next. So now just keep doing the decreasing, and I'll be here shortly. All right, so this is how it looks. So now we were actually decreasing only just this side until the certain row, and then I was just doing like without the decreasing, just the regular rows, just a few last, but everything is in the pattern. So just check your numbers, check your rows. And now we're gonna start the same way on the other side, but now we have to start from the stitch marker right here. So this is where we actually, in this stitch where we have the stitch marker, we will join our yarn and we will start the double crochet. We have to do it pretty much the same way, because here too we did the double crochet from the right to the left. So now we have to continue with that. So we will start here, and this part just that for this one row, it's gonna be a little bit different about the decreasing, because firstly we will make chain 2, which will count as a first double crochet, and then we will decrease into the next 2 stitches a double crochet. But I'll show you right now. So now again we will be decreasing only this side, and we will be we won't be decreasing this side, so it's gonna be exactly the same, but like in a reverse. So now let's start it. All right, so now we just insert the hook exactly where the stitch marker is, because we counted 28 stitches from the end, or like from the side. So now what we're gonna do, we just put the yarn over the hook, pull through, and then do chain 1. But this chain is just like to keep like pretty much that we make that knot with the chain, so that doesn't count as a first like chain. And now we make chain 2. So now I'll just keep tight this tail, but then we will weave in this tail later. So now we have chain 2, and now we will make the decreasing in the next 2 stitches. So it's right here. We do again insert the hook, yarn over, pull up the loop, yarn over, pull up the loop through the 2, yarn over, insert the hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up the loop, yarn over, pull up the loop through 2, and then yarn over, pull up the loop through 3. So this is our decreasing for this row, for this start. And now we just continue with the double crochet until the end of the row. And then because we always start the double crochet on this side, so we will always do like the decreasing in the second and third stitch. So that's gonna be a little bit different, but it will give you the same shape, so that's totally all right. But here we did always at the end, so that was easy, so we could do it in the last 2 stitches, the decreasing. But now we always start a double crochet row from this side, so then that's why we have to make the decreasing in the second and the third stitch, because the first one will be our 2 chain when we will turn the project. So I hope it makes sense, but I'll be here shortly and show you again. All right, so I'm just at the end now, and now just recount your stitches if you have the same number. I do, and that's perfect. And now let's make just chain 1, turn the project, and now that means that chain 1 counts as a first stitch. So now we start the pattern, which is alternating double crochet, slip stitch, double crochet, slip stitch until the end of the row. And then I'll show you again the decreasing for this side, and then you will just continue, so you have exactly the same sleeve as on the first side that we just made. All right, so now I'm at the end again, and now I will make just chain 2, which is counts as a first double crochet for the next row. And now we turn the project. And now we will be making the decreasing in that second and the third stitch, so which is right here. So I just insert the hook, pull up the loop. I have 3 loops on our hook, on my hook. Pull through 2, then yarn over, insert the hook again into the next stitch. The next stitch should be the slip stitch from the previous row, so it was a little bit harder to get in. And then yarn over, pull up the loop through the 2, and yarn over, pull up the 3. So this is the decreasing, how you're gonna continue for this side. So it's gonna be always in the second and the third stitch, the decreasing. And now I just continue with double crochet until the end of the row, and then the row alternating double crochet and slip stitch. So now you just continue until you have the same sleeve like on the other side. All right, guys, so now you can see that I have my sleeves, and I see this project with the right side out. So this is actually the pattern how it looks. And now I see this is my actually back part of the sleeves, and now we will start for the front. So this is the front, and you should have odd number of the stitches from here. And now what we're gonna do, we will start decreasing exactly in the same way like on this one. So we will be decreasing on these sides about 1 stitch. And what we're gonna do now, we will make 2 rows all in once, and then we will start the middle, so we will split the project again. But for now we will make our 2 rows. So now we start with the double crochet, because with this stitch markers where we put, this is our double crochet row. And now we will continue with the double crochet, and it's gonna be from here, from the right to the left. And we're gonna start the same way as we did this sleeve. So we will just attach the yarn, we make chain 2, and into the second and third stitch we're gonna make the decreasing, and then at the last 2 stitches here we're gonna make also decreasing. So we will decrease this row about 2 stitches. And yeah, I think that's everything. So now we're gonna start all the way up here and then all the way back with the alternating slip stitch and double crochet. And then from when we get here, I'll show you next, because then we will start the middle part. So our project will be split again, so it's gonna go like this, and then we're gonna make the exactly same way like here for this part. So this is how it looks so far. I think that is actually amazing. I absolutely love the pattern, the texture of it. It's actually easy and pretty much kind of fast project. So now let's start with this part. All right, so now this is the stitch marker. I'm gonna still keep the stitch marker for now, and this is exactly the stitch marker. It's at the last stitch of this row when I did the sleeve. So now we will insert the hook into the next one, and it's the slip stitch from the previous row. So it's gonna be a little harder to insert the hook. Then I'll just grab my yarn, and I'll just attach the yarn right here. So just like that, and then do chain 1, but this chain 1 I will just make it as a knot. So I will just tie this tail, and then I will just weave in later. And now I make chain 2, which counts as a first double crochet. And now into the second and the third stitch I will make the decreasing. So now I've just made the yarn over, insert the hook, yarn over, pull up the loop. I have 3 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull up the loop through the first 2 loops, yarn over, and insert the hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up the loop, yarn over, pull up the loop through the first 2, and then pull up the loop through the rest of the 3. So this is my decreasing. So now I have pretty much 2 stitches, and now I just continue with the double crochet until I'll get to my last 2 stitches where I'm gonna make my decreasing, and then I'll show you what next. All right, so now I'm at the end, and I'm almost having those 2 last stitches. So now I have to make my last regular double crochet, and now we're gonna make the decreasing. This is the 2 last stitches. So you just insert the hook, and we're just gonna make it exactly the same way as we did at the beginning. So I'll just pull the loop through the last 3, and then chain 1, that counts as a first stitch for the next row, turn, and now for the entire row you will alternating slip stitch and double crochet. And then we're gonna split the front for 2 parts again, and making decreasing on the both sides, but it's gonna be slightly different, so just stay tuned with me. Alright guys, so now I finished my 2 rows, so this is all the way. I also took out my stitch markers from the sides, because now I don't need them, and now it's very clear like where actually I have my rows like I ended. And now I actually put my stitch marker exactly in the middle stitch between those two. It was in this row on the front panel. And now we will divide the project or this tank top on the two again. So now we're gonna be crocheting just from this side until the stitch marker, and now we will be decreasing. And now from this side where we have that sleeve, we're gonna be decreasing the exactly same way. So it's just gonna be about 1 stitch on this side, but on the front it's gonna be about 2 stitches. So in total you will decrease about 3 stitches on each double crochet row. So now I'll show you how, but it's basically the same. We're just gonna instead of out of 2 stitches, we will make 2 decreases in a row. But I'll show you right now. I hope it all makes sense. And now let's start with the first panel, and this one is actually left side because again this is the right side, so this is what's gonna be visible, and this is our left side, like a left part of our front panel. So let's get started. Okay, so now let's start with our decreasing at the beginning, which is the same, and it's just about 1 stitch. So we make decreasing out of 2 stitches, so this is exactly the same way as we did before. And now we continue until the end of the row with the double crochet, but we don't count. We will not be working in this middle stitch where the stitch marker is, but exactly in the 4 stitches before, because then we're gonna make 2 decreasing out of this the 4th and 3rd stitch, and then the 2nd and the 1st from the end we're gonna make 2 decreasing. So we will decrease about 3 stitches of this row. So I hope it makes sense, but for now just continue with the double crochet until you have 4 last stitches left. Alright, so now I have my last 4 stitches before the end, because like I said before, this middle one where the stitch marker is doesn't count, or we don't work with this stitch. So now what we're gonna do, we're gonna make our first decrease out of this 4th and the 3rd stitch. So we're just gonna do as usual, as you know. So the yarn over, insert the hook into the stitch, yarn over, pull up the loop, yarn over, pull up the loop through the first 2 loops, yarn over, insert the hook into the next stitch, and yarn over, pull up the loop, yarn over, pull up the loop through the first 2, and then yarn over, pull up the loop through the last 3 stitches. So this is our first decreasing, and now we're gonna make again the same way another decreasing out of those 2 stitches, exactly in the same way. So you will never finish that one double crochet. And now first 2 loops, and now I have my last 3, and this is my last decreasing. So I decreased out of 4 stitches into 2. So now I will just do chain 1, insert and then turn the project, and then I will alternate my slip stitch and double crochet. So now you're just alternating slip stitch and double crochet until the end of the row, right here. And then so basically this side, whenever you start at the beginning of the double crochet row, you will always make the decrease about 1 stitch only at the beginning, so the same way as we did the sleeve before. And at the end of the double crochet row, you will make the 2 decreases like we did right now. So this is how you continue, and as far as you follow the pattern, then you will see how many rows you have to do that. And then at the end you will just continue like just without any decreasing, because you will have the same number as the top sleeve. So then it will be same number of stitches like this one, then we can sew it. And yeah, that's gonna be the best part. So now you just keep doing that. At one side you will decrease about 1 stitch, at the end of the double crochet row about 2 stitches. So in total you will decrease each double crochet row about 3 stitches until you'll get the same number of stitches at the top part of the sleeve without any decreasing, and then you will just continue, so you will match the length of the sleeve. So I hope it makes sense. So now you just continue, and then once I'm done, I'll show you, and then we're gonna start our last fourth part, and it's gonna be our front panel right side. Alright guys, so now you can see that I finished this left side front panel. So when we're gonna fold it, we're gonna sew this top part together. And now let's start our last part, and exactly the same way as we did this side, but what's gonna be different is that on this side we will start to make that 2 decreases in a row, and on this side it's gonna be only 1 decrease. So now let's start it, and I'll show you right away, and we're almost done. All right, so now let's start again. We start from the right to the left. So now this is the stitch marker of our middle stitch that we don't work with. So now I'll just insert my hook into the next one, which is the slip stitch from the previous row, so it's a little bit tighter. And now I will just attach to my yarn, so it's gonna be the same way as usual. So I just put it around my hook, make the chain 1, which is like just the chain that I will tie my yarn, and then I'll just make 2 chains, which is counts as a first double crochet for the row. And now we're gonna make the decreasing like a 2 in a row, and it means that I'm gonna make decreasing of those 2 stitches for the 1 and the next 2 stitches for the 1. So it's gonna be exactly the same way. So I just insert the hook into the next stitch. I will do just the first part of the double crochet, yarn over, insert the hook into the next stitch again, yarn over, pull up the loop. I have 4 loops on my hook. I just do yarn over through the first 2 and then yarn over through 3. And now I'm gonna do again in those 2 stitches, I will make the decreasing. So again, I will not finish my double crochet, and instead of I will work like that until I have my 3 loops on my hook, pull through, and this is how I did the 2 decreases. This is what you're gonna do again when you follow the pattern for the rows that you need. So this is gonna be 2 decreasing on this side, and now you will just continue with the double crochet until the end row. But now it's gonna be different again because we are working on our right side of this top, and it means that now at the end of the row we're gonna make our decreasing in the 2 last stitches. All right, so now I have my last 2 stitches here, so I will make my last decrease here of this row. And now I'll just continue with the pattern. So now the next row will be switching or alternating slip stitch and double crochet. And again, whenever you start from the middle, you will always decrease like about two decreases, or about 2 stitches at the beginning right here. And at the end of this row you will decrease only about 1 stitch. So now you just follow the pattern, and again it's just switching the rows between double crochet row and the alternating slip stitch and double crochet. Alright guys, so this is it. So I just finished my right side front panel, which is this one, and now what we're gonna do, we will just sew the top parts together. We will twist the back, but this is it. So I hope that it was easy, and now we will just put it together and it's ready to wear. So yeah, let's go for the next step. All right, so now we see this top like with the right side up. So what we're gonna do, we will just fold these parts. We will fold the left side, the right side, and now we will fold the left side of the top. So it's like that, and now we will just sew this top part together, and now we can face the wrong side, which is exactly how we want to do it. We just want to sew all the parts from the inside, and then we will start to make the twisted back. So now let's just grab your yarn needle and let's sew it together. Alright, so this is my sleeve, and I'll just be sewing the top part like together. We have the same numbers of the stitches on each side, and both sides ends with the double crochet row, so it's actually very easy. And now we just have to align the top. So we're gonna like sew the like the top part like through the each stitch of both sides until the end of the row. I accidentally made a longer tail on the other side, but that's okay. We will just weave in at the end. So now also I'm facing it, this is the inside, this is the wrong side, so we are facing the wrong side now. And now let's because I know that this is my first stitch of this side, and then I have another one right here, so I'll just pull the needle through. And now I'll just go through each stitch, from the both loops of each stitch, just like that, just very simply. And this is what we do until the end of the row. Alright, so now I'm just about to make my last stitch right here, and now I have this longer tail, but I will just make a double knot or triple knot even. So I will make the triple knot to secure these things, and now I will just weave in these ends, and I'll just try to go like and I'll just try to go like in the stitches, like on the way there, and then just back, so it won't untangle. Just do it a few more times. Just hide the weave-in or the tail in the stitches. So I think that that's all right. So now I will just cut it, and the same way I will do this the tail right here. And exactly the way how we sew this part, you will sew the other sleeve, and then we will go to the to make the back twisted. Alright, so now you can see that I have both sides sewed together, so it looks like that when I flip it for the right side. So this is like how it looks, the top part, but it's completely okay. So it actually looks very nice. So this is it, and now let's start to make our back twisted. Alright, so now make the twisted back. So now we have the stitch markers right here that we left, and this is the first rows that we didn't do any decreasing. We just did from the top, from the above stitch markers, we were decreasing for the open back, and this part is exactly for our twisted back. So how we gonna do it? We still face this tank top like on the wrong side out. So what we're gonna do, I will just like fold it just a little bit, this part. So this is the stitch marker that we have the same. I'll grab my other side, and I will just make it in the half from the bottom to the halfway to the stitch marker. I will just put it right on top. I will align it with that, with our left side. Now I will grab this corner and fold it to the stitch marker right here. So now we have like 3 layers, 1, 2, 3. And now I will fold the stitch marker, what is here, right to the other side. So now we have like 4 layers here, and this is what we will sew together. So now just get ready your yarn and your yarn needle, and make sure that you will sew exactly this part from the stitch marker to the other stitch marker. And then once we'll flip it with the right side out, then it should get us the twisted back. So now I will show you again. So I will just flip this this side, this left side. So now we can see a little bit of the right side out, but this one is the wrong side. Now you can count exactly the middle, whatever is the middle row. So then you will just align it for that stitch marker. So the stitch marker of the other side will be in the middle to the way of the other stitch mark on the other side. So I will just put it on top. Then I will grab this corner, the bottom of the top, and I will fold it right here to the stitch marker here. And we have 3 layers now. And now I will grab the stitch marker on the other side and then fold it around like on top of the other side. So now we have like this 4 layers folded together, and now we will sew it together, and then it should give us the twisted back. So this is my first part. So what we can do is that we can join this with the stitch marker on the other side, so then it will not like take apart. So I can just secure it with that. So I have that one side secured. Now I will fold the other side, which is right here, and again I can just clip it with the stitch marker right here. So now it's secured, and now when I grab the other end for the stitch marker here, I can just go through right here. So then I will just secure it. So now it's secured, the whole folded part. So I will just do it on the other side too. So now I know that I can see this part, and now it's actually secured with the stitch markers. So I don't have to worry that I would lose that. So now just grab your yarn needle and the yarn, and now sew these together. So I just cut like a decent length of the yarn, but this should be far too like all good. And now I will just sew it together. So whatever you see, just go through the stitches. Now what we can do is that we can just the end, we can just secure it with the double knot or even triple knot, just to make sure that it's well secured. And now we can either go all the way through each stitch to the top part, or you can just firstly do the first 2 like layers, then the second and the third, and the third and the fourth. But I think that I'll do it just all in once, and just the regular, like as we know, just go through just like that. And this is what you're gonna do until the end of the row. Make sure that you go through each stitch of each layer. So I just pull out this tail from one of the corners, so I'm just gonna leave it there. And I know that it's actually the end of the one row, but I still have that little gap here, so I will just sew that too. And then I will actually secure this with this tail. So now I will just take out the stitch marker because I don't need it here anymore. And I will just finish this little gap here, the corner. And now with this tail again, I'm gonna make the triple knot just to secure it, and now you can just weave in the ends. But before we do it, I'll show you how to flip it and how to make the twisted part. Alright guys, so this is the look of the wrong side out. So now what you're gonna do, you will just flip it how you would wear it, so with the right side out. And now you can see how the twisted part it is. So it looks like that. You have to just weave in the ends, which I haven't done yet, but just weave in the ends. If you feel that the back are too open, and let's say for example I have a like a low bra, so it's actually not in the middle, so it's not visible, but it's still visible because it's too low. So what you can do, you can always like just like a pin it here, like you can just sew it together just maybe a little bit above, so it's not visible, or even if you wear it like without bra, it's totally okay. So yeah, I guess that's everything. Alright guys, so this is how it looks. This is the back of our tank top, and now when I flip it, it's just it looks like that. I hope that you enjoy it. I still have some weave-ins to do. I hope that you enjoy this pattern. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel, or feel free to follow me on my Instagram or Facebook, so you can be in touch with me. Don't forget to tag me once you finish your tank, and I would love to see it. So again, thank you so much for watching, and happy crocheting.